We are here today with Christina MacLennan, and we're sharing her story. She's been so kind to invite me to her space. We are sitting in her salon right now, and she's going to share her story today with all of you women about how she turned her I can't to I can. And I'm super excited because I feel like I can relate to Christina in a lot of ways in terms of my own story. And so I'm really, really excited to share this and to be here with all of you. And thank you very much, Christina.
You're very welcome. Girl.
All right, so I guess basically I want to kind of like dive into some of the things because right now Christina, she comes from like a bit of a background with some struggles that she's gone through, but at the end of the day she has really conquered so much in her life and is now living a life that she loves. She is a business owner now, which she's always wanted to do, and so today we're here to share about a little bit of like the things that she's gone through, some of the things that she's learned along the way to where she is today. And so I guess what I want to ask Christina are like what are some of the things that kind of stand out to you that you've gone through in your past? If you could think of like three, the top three things that really stand out to you that were, challenges for you in the past.
I would say one of the big things is growing up. I grew up in housing. My mom, she was in a couple of abusive relationships, and I spent a lot of my childhood actually at the Hesse House. It was a hard home. It was a lot of dysfunction, but it wasn't knocking me down.
Right.
Even as a child, I was very much a happy-go-lucky, bubbly. I dived into whatever I was doing. It wasn't that I was staying home. I just did other things so that home wasn't as hard. And then I guess the next, I was 16 and I said, I'm not living at home anymore. I made the choice to, I was dating somebody in another city at 16, but, and I went in and I moved with him and I started doing nails. And I kind of very much dived into that. So I went from one thing to another, and I've always been a very independent, headstrong kind of person. I'm stubborn. And going into that, I went into a very dysfunctional relationship, very controlling, but, which was worse? What kind of lifestyle was harder? And I learned how to do nails, and it was just, it just kind of fell on my lap, and I enjoyed it, so I'm going to, continue to do it. And then I think having my oldest boy, right after that, it was, I moved back home, and I had my son non-consensually. And as a young mom, a lot of struggles with, I didn't know who I was at, 19 years old. I was 19 for 4 months and didn't know what I was doing. And he was born with a congenital heart defect. So he actually had to go to Toronto and have open heart surgery in 2 weeks. So to go from, 16, it was really, really difficult. But at the same time, in my head, it was very much this is what my life is. This is who I am. This is what my life is going to be. And I had a lot at that time, even at 19. It was really hard because every time, I felt like I was getting a little bit stronger, something else would happen. He was really sick. Just becoming a mom and really not knowing who I was, and I was pregnant, didn't know, kind of what I was doing, and I was still trying to be positive, still trying to, and it's kind of funny because after he had his heart surgery, I was really, I was in a bad place, but I just kind of went, I was looking at all the families and of all the sick kids, and I went, oh my gosh, these are some of the strongest people I've ever met. To be there, and we all kind of hung out in the lobby, and I just said, you know what, this was supposed, all of everything was supposed to happen, just because it made me strong, it made me very stubborn, and It's hard, but
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It is a lot. And like at a young age. And so, going back to like everything that you've kind of gone through, Christina, what were like in along those ways? And you said, every time you tried to be positive, it was like something else would happen.
Yeah.
And I think that it's funny because I feel like life tests us in that way.
Big
right?
time. Yeah.
It's like it really tests our spirit, everything about us and our endurance and what we're going through. But at the end of the day, it makes us a stronger person and helps us come out on top.
Yeah. Like it, and it's the things that I went through though, eventually I had to realize I had absolutely no control of them. And for the longest time, my thing was what if, or just, this is the way life is going to be. But when you kind of go from kind of a, I have control to I have no control over those things, you kind of allow those things and those bad things to happen because there's not a thing you can do about it.
Right.
And I know that a lot of the times with my struggles, the things that I've gone through that I had struggles with, abusive relationships, that was because I was in that relationship. Right. I had control. I could break away from it. My son having the heart condition, there was not a thing I could do.
Right.
And I had to realize that I didn't have to beat myself up over having a child at a young age, or, yes, going through the dysfunctional family, but I broke from that. I tried to break and allow how I felt and what was kind of happening to me.
Right.
And when that happened, though, that was when I was able to kind of get that, that ladder rung up and climb and kind of go, okay, what else do you have for me? What else do you have for me? What else do you have for me? Because it's really, I was a very sad person and I was a very depressed person, but it never lasted long. It never lasted long because it was out of my control.
So what helped you? What helped you understand that or realize that certain things were not in your control, but some things were in them? Let's see. Hopefully, this is working still. Oh, yeah. We had it. Okay. Perfect. Slight technical issue, guys. Sorry. So going back to the question was, you talked about some of the things that were in your control, some of the things that weren't in your control. How did you come to that realization? How were you able to use that to your advantage?
Sounds funny, but after I had my third child, I brought him home to a women's shelter after having him because I was in a bad relationship. And I remember laying there with him on my chest, and I kind of remember saying, I don't have to do this. I don't have to. I was a very codependent person.
Yeah.
I needed other people to make me feel like I could do it. I needed their what's the word? Not really their approval, but just their support. I in my head I had you're going to get married and then you're going to have kids, or you're going to go to school and then you're going to have a career. I felt like for a long time that everything was going backwards, and I didn't like it because that's something I could control. And having my third child and just kind of going, wait a minute, I can do this. I can raise my babies. I can live alone. I don't need to be in a relationship. I don't need to do what the standard is, and what people expect of me, because that's kind of what I fight through, is what people expect from me. So I remember just kind of sitting there and going, I can do it. And being at a woman's shelter, it's really, really, really difficult. And, I didn't beat myself up at that time. I was like, you know what? I have 3 kids. I have 3 beautiful kids. So what if I'm alone? So what if I have to do this all by myself? At least, it sounds bad, but at least I wasn't putting them, definitely. And
So you were able to see the positive in a negative situation.
Yes.
You were able to
absolutely.
take your circumstances and turn it around and see the positive. And would you say that that's what helped you move forward?
Yeah,
Throughout
absolutely.
it all.
Yeah.
I love that.
I think my kids are really what kind of did it, and and to realize, you know, I was in a dysfunctional family, and I broke down, you know, into why. Why was I into a dysfunctional family? Was it because I lived in housing? Was it because my mom was on welfare? Was it because, you know, my mother was a codependent? Like, what was it that kind of made me live in this cycle and be in that mind space of, you know, and I said, not that I'm going to be different than my mom or be kind of different, but I want my kids to see how strong I am, because that's not a side of my mother that I've seen. I do now, but you know, when I'm trying to break out of that kind of lifestyle, it was I not that I seen how strong my mom was, but I remember seeing her very weak too. And I don't want my kids to see that, I guess.
Because you love them so much, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so would you, you know, in thinking about, because essentially, Christina, you took your power back,
yes.
right? Like,
yes.
You got your power back.
Mm-hmm.
And do you feel like getting your power back, a key crucial time was being able to reflect on all the whys and reflect on everything that you went through and asking yourself, why did that happen? Or what can I do to change that?
Yeah.
Why is this?
For a long time, I guess, a lot of my teenage and young adulthood, I didn't want to know why. Mm-hmm. You know, I didn't want to know why me. Mm-hmm. And I think it's because, you know, I did go through a lot. You know, deaths and breakups and, you know, abuse and you name it, you know, it happened. You even got hit by lightning. But anyways, but in the sense, I didn't want to know that. I want, you know, because as soon as I reflected, it was going to be really hard and it was going to be really, really painful. And
that's really powerful right there.
Yeah.
Is facing the truth.
Yeah.
Facing the truth. And do you feel like because you were able to face the truth, that helped you move forward?
Yes. Yes. One of the big things was my oldest boy lives with my mom. Mm-hmm. And for a long time, I fought my mom and said, I could do this. I'm such a strong person. And he doesn't live with me now. Mm-hmm. And at 19, 20, 21, I was mad. I was mad because I didn't want to put him in the system. Mm-hmm. So I get, you know, my mom raised him. And I was like, that's the woman who, you know, at 20, that's the woman that put me through the stuff that I went through. Mm-hmm. And now, 15 years later, I went, holy crap, if I did not have her, where would I be now? Then I just started to kind of say, you know what, like, him and I had a really, really deep talk probably about a month ago. And I remember saying to him, and he was asking me questions. He asked me, you know, where he was born, about his dad, about his heart surgery, about him being autistic. He asked a lot of questions. And I remember 15 years ago, I would never be able to do that. I would never be able to go and say to him, you know, Mom was depressed. Mom was in a lot, you know, really hard spot because I thought, you know, and I thought he was going to die, and I wasn't ready to be a mom in the first place, right? So I couldn't do that 15 years ago. I just kind of was like, I'm a positive. I was trying to prove everybody wrong, kind of. I was very stubborn, and I realized that take that stubborn and turn it into positivity. And I was, I guess, the whole time. I just didn't realize I was doing it. You know, I was too headstrong and too stubborn, and I just meddled through, and I was like, I'm going to be that person at the end of the thing. And I didn't, I guess, after I had my third child, so I would have been about 27, that's when I realized that every single step was how I was going to get there. Not that it was just happening. It wasn't just going to happen.
That life happens in steps.
Yeah.
You learn in...
And everything, I mean, like, it sounds funny, but every single thing that I went through, looking back now, it's just, a lot of people I don't know could handle the stuff that, you know, that I went through and the sad spots, I mean, that I've been in. But at the same time, going through it all, it made me humble, and it made me strong, and it made me kind of be a storyteller. Be able to, you know, tell my kids, you know, at Christine, this is what Mom went through, and not anytime soon.
And I know that you've become more open and vocal with your story lately, and you're doing a lot of things in the community, and like you're inspiration to a lot of women out there, Christina, and I commend you for that. It's incredible, because I feel that there are so many women out there who do struggle and who have similar situations that you've gone through, and I feel like it's almost like our duty as human beings to live authentically and to share those stories, to give others hope and to inspire for them to live their best life, and to know that it's possible to get past those dark times. And so I guess my question for you is, like, what would be the biggest piece of advice that you would want to give to someone who may be going through some of the things that you went through, or just going through a hard spot in their life and they just need that, like what would be a piece of advice that you could give to them?
Probably when it happens, it will get better. It always does. It does not matter, what is going on. Like, I had my first child, and we were sitting in the hospital, and I kept thinking to myself, like, I could not picture him being an adult. I could not picture him, going out, being in high school, and here he is in high school. It gets better no matter what you're going through. It will get better. And just, again, and it's so cliche, but stay positive. Just as bad, as bad as that was, I'm going to Toronto in June, and the last time I was there was when my son had open heart surgery, and I was just like, I'm excited to go to the Eaton Center. I don't really remember it but it's just, that's a positive thing. I'm gonna know I'm gonna know how to get around. I'm gonna know directions because I was already there. But I'm also like looking into a couple of the families that I met up there and trying to connect with them. And then my son, I hope to bring him next year, and we're gonna go to Ronald McDonald House, and we're gonna hang out. We're gonna go to all the places that he was when he was really little. Because, typically not conventional thing to do is go hang out in hospital. But, he doesn't remember that, and I want him to know kind of where I was standing and what I was doing, when the hard times were.
That's powerful.
And just take it with a grain of salt. Take everything with a grain of salt. Don't think. I was an overthinker, and now, when things happen, just don't overthink it. Just kind of ride the wave and realize that, you will settle and everything will,
and things will
balance out. It will, and it does balance out. It takes a while.
I love it. Okay, last question that I have for you. And I see there's some people here who are commenting. Amanda Hansen, she says your story and who you are is such an inspiration.
Thank you, Amanda.
You truly are. Oh, it is. And so I guess also, we're all here on earth, and we live our lives and we learn lessons and we go through. But when we're gone, it's like we almost want to leave a piece of us here, like a legacy. And so, like, what sort of legacy do you want to leave for others? Now it's a little deep, eh?
I know. Well, I'm trying to think of what I want is people to see like how strong I am and what I guess what I'm willing to do for my kids, and what is how how strong of a person that I am, like going through kind of the stuff, like for sure.
Absolutely. Well, I think you've done that. That's for sure. And you sharing your story, and in allowing me to interview and share your story with Stifle too. I mean, you're doing that, right? So that's awesome, Christina. I see Amy McManus. She says, "Oh, do you know her?
I know her from when I was a kid." Yeah.
Oh, awesome. So she says, "You're such a strong person, such a great influence for ladies going through troubles." It's nice. It's awesome. So, ladies, if you found some inspiration from hearing Christina's story, please leave a comment below. Comments are always welcome. And also, if you know anyone who you think could benefit from Christina's story, or may just need a little dose of inspiration, please feel free to tag them in the comments, or share Christina's story out with your friends and your family. I want to say thank you to everyone for joining in, and and listening and being here with us today. And Christina, I just want to say thank you so much for allowing us to come here today and share your story.
You're welcome.
It's awesome. Okay, so we are gonna sip on our chai tea lattes right now. We'll see you next week. Tune in. We're gonna have our next guest, Haley Bowen. She's gonna be coming into us. She's gonna be coming onto the show, talking all about purpose and a whole bunch of other goodness. So she'll be on the show next Tuesday at 1 p.m. That is Atlantic. Wow, I can't talk today. Wow. That is Atlantic Standard Time, 1 p.m. next Tuesday. Join us, and we'll see you next week.